Hey you guys, welcome back to another Minecraft video. This video will have been right at home in redstone if that series were still going on. As you can see, a lot of command blocks here. So what do all of these command blocks do? So first of all, in the beginning of your map, you're going to start everyone off in survival. You're going to have them get this, which is a glass bottle, but it's called Aqua Vita. Now you can name it whatever you want, but it does need to have a special name of your choice. If it doesn't have a special name, this won't work. So let's say I have my Aqua Vita, and I'm going to need to get hungry, which I can't do in peaceful, so let's go back to easy. And let's simulate lots of action by giving me the hunger effect for 80 ticks level 1. Oh no, I'm hungry. Oh, sorry, 80 seconds. Surprisingly not very effective at level 1. Huh. Alright, let's try that again. Let's simulate this by giving me the hunger effect at level 10 for 80 seconds. Oh. Before I start starving. Okay, so here I am. I'm very hungry. I've been playing around whatever map this contraption is in. And I have no food. So what do? Well, I have this bottle of Aqua Vita, which is empty, so let me take some water and drink it. All of a sudden, oh, look at that. Not only am I full, but you'll notice the particles, and if we check here, I have 2 minutes of saturation 2, which fills me up completely. Which means I don't have to worry about hunger for another 2 minutes. And you'll notice on the side I have my scoreboard. That doesn't need to be visible. That's just so you guys can see how this is all working. So yeah, I've made water bottles a thing. Like, they actually do something besides potion bases. And, if you'll notice, if I give myself an unnamed glass bottle, and wait for my saturation to wear off. Could take a while. Effect. Clear. Alright, so my saturation is worn off. Get away, slime. Don't have anything to hit you with. Get away. Alright. If I just take my glass bottle... Damn it! You know what? Go away, slimes. But if I just take my glass bottle, and I get some water, and I drink it, no particles, no saturation. If I take my Aqua Vita, and I drink it, particles, saturation, and I get another Aqua Vita bottle. So how does this work? Switch into creative mode here to show you. So, this whole contraption, I'm sure, can be highly, highly compressed. This is a huge contraption that I just drew out so that I could figure out the logic better, and then I felt unmotivated to shrink it up. But I'm going to show you how it works, and then from there, you're free to compress it all you want. So, the first thing we need to do is figure out if you have the Aqua Vita bottle. So keep in mind, if anyone's done redstone, or specifically command blocks before, you'll recognize this as a fill clock, and that's just these 2 blocks. So this fills the row with redstone blocks, as you can see, and then the one under it fills the row with air. So every tick these are getting filled in with redstone and then cleared. It's happening so fast that you can't even see it. It acts just like a full row of redstone, but it allows these command blocks to be executed 20 times per second. It's the fastest clock you can ever get in Minecraft. So what do we check for 20 times a second? Well, the first thing we do is this. The clear command is used to clear items from people's inventory and hotbar, but a really cool thing about it is if you set this to 0, so this parameter here is the number of items maximum to remove, right? So we're saying from the nearest player we'll clear all glass bottles, but with a maximum of 0, which obviously doesn't make sense because maximum of 0 means you're not clearing anything. However, what this allows us to do is detect whether a person has the item that we would otherwise be clearing, in this case a glass bottle. So by doing this, and this is the data tag, which doesn't really matter for a glass bottle, what we're saying is, does the person nearest to this command block have a glass bottle? And more specifically, we can do data tags, which in this case we're using to rename our special bottle to Aqua Vita. And this is why it needs a special name, because it needs to know the difference between any old glass bottle that the player might make or find and the special one that's supposed to give you the special effects. So this part right here will turn true, or turn a signal on, every tick that the player has an Aqua Vita glass bottle. Okay? And that, let me get down from here, that turns on this command block, which just sets the player's scoreboard for the objective called water, which I've added previously, which you can just do, let me show you real quick. It's just scoreboard objectives add, and then you give it the name you want, which in this case is water. You say dummy, which means it will only be modified by command blocks and cheats. It will not be modified by any in-game activity. And then the name you want to display, which I just use the same name for water up here. But in reality, you're probably not even going to want to display it, so it doesn't really matter what you put for the display name. So that just sets everything up. That only needs to be run once in your world. But then this will set their water value to 1. Now, we have a little bit of a code here. So when water is 1, it means that they currently have the Aqua Vita empty bottle. So we check if they have the Aqua Vita empty bottle from here, and if so, we set their score to 1. Oops, let me grab that, my Aqua Vita that I almost lost. Okay, so we set their score to 1. So now what we need is, and here's the problem, if you grab water in your water bottle, you'll notice it becomes a regular water bottle. It loses its special name. So that means even if we were to look, for example, for a water bottle with the name Aqua Vita, we wouldn't find it. And we wouldn't be able to tell the difference anymore between our Aqua Vita water bottle and our actual just regular water bottle that they made. And so that's why we have this, because now what we know is if the scoreboard value is 1, that means that they had an Aqua Vita bottle. But now that we press this, the scoreboard value is 0, which means that they no longer have it. So we want to run these into an AND gate here, and if you've seen the previous redstone videos, you'll know that this is a multi-AND gate with 3 inputs. And the inputs are, first of all, the negation of this test from before, which means we no longer have an Aqua Vita empty bottle. And then we have this. which we're testing for the nearest player with a score with a minimum and maximum water score of 1, which means this checks to see if the nearest player also has a water score of exactly 1, meaning that they had an Aqua Vita bottle before. So this is, did they have an Aqua Vita bottle before? And this is, do they have an Aqua Vita bottle now? Or in this case, do they not have an Aqua Vita bottle now? And then our last test for this gate is, again, we're using clear as a test. We're just testing if they have a potion with data value 0, which is a water bottle. So do they have a water bottle, a regular water bottle, and they had an Aqua Vita bottle before, and they no longer have an Aqua Vita bottle? And when all those are true, this AND gate will output true and trigger this. So what that does is it sets their score for water not to 1, not to 0, but to 2. And this is our code for they now have a filled Aqua Vita water bottle. And this is where all of this processing comes together, because it allows us to detect that they don't just have any water bottle, but they have a filled Aqua Vita water bottle, despite the fact that Minecraft will turn it into a regular water bottle. So this is the logic that lets us figure out that it is in fact an Aqua Vita water bottle that was changed. And since this clock happens 20 times a second every frame, the chances of being able to cheat that are very slim, because within 1/20th of a second, they'd have to both get a regular water bottle and get rid of their Aqua Vita water bottle, which is very hard to do in a 20th of a second, if not impossible. So yeah, so this sets their scoreboard to 2, and I actually don't need this part again. And so now when we have a value of 2, that means we have a filled Aqua Vita water bottle. Which is fine, but we want to know when they've drank it, or when they have drunk it. When they drink it. We want to know when they drink it. So how do we know that? Well, if we know they had an Aqua Vita water bottle that was filled, is the first step. And we know that is true when their scoreboard value for water is 2. So we use the same kind of test for that we used before to check if it was 1, only now we're checking if the water value is exactly 2. So this says, does the nearest player have a filled Aqua Vita water bottle? And this right here is another AND. And this is the negation of this, right? Because it's a torch, so it negates it. And this, if we remember, was that you had a water bottle. So what this is saying is, wow, sorry about that, bless me. Anyway, what this is saying is, did you previously have a filled Aqua Vita water bottle, and do you no longer have any water bottles that are filled? And so when you drink this, it turns into a glass bottle. So this becomes true because you don't have a water bottle anymore. But we didn't change the score, which was set to 2 when we had this filled Aqua Vita water bottle, so this stays true as well. And the combination turns this AND gate on, and that output right there says, not only do we have an Aqua Vita water bottle, but we filled it and we drank it. So this is the key. This tells us that we have drank from an Aqua Vita water bottle. And so what we want to do, initially we can do whatever we want, right? And in this case, I believe I have the actual effect here. No, sorry. Here? Yeah. So I have the effect coming last. You can put it in any order you want. They're all executed within the same tick, basically. So in this case, I do effect. I add an effect to the nearest player of 23, which is saturation, which adds to your hunger bar. So it gives you, it fills your hunger bar. And in this case, 2400 ticks is Ooh. I actually should change this, but because it says 2400 seconds. So if you're in survival, I think it changes. I don't know. I had some weird issues with the timing because everything said seconds, but it seemed to be measured in ticks, 20ths of a second. So you might have to play around with the timing. But this is a level 1 saturation effect, and this just says to last parameter is don't show particles. So I set that to 0 or false so that it does show the particles, so you know when the saturation is taking effect. But yeah, so about 2 minutes of saturation effect. And of course, this is only what I used it for. You can use it for anything you want. Whatever you want to turn water into, you can add all of those effects in this chain here. I just turned it into saturation because it made sense to me in some weird way. But yeah, might be overpowered that way. Whatever, you can do whatever effects you want here. But when you drink the water, right, it turns into a regular glass bottle, which means you can't reuse your Aqua Vita bottle. So how do we continue detecting whether they've used it? And the answer to that is simple. If you watch very closely, or not so closely, when I drink this... Oops. Sorry, I can't actually drink it unless I'm in survival. See that? It set the status effect, but it also plopped in and gave me a new Aqua Vita water bottle. So, back into creative. So what I do, the first thing I do is I have to clear 1 glass bottle. Now remember, this parameter is the number of items that you want to clear, max. And so I use 1 because if they have their own glass bottles, you don't want to just clear them all and then they lose all their glass bottles that maybe they spent time gathering sand for or whatever. So it only clears 1 bottle, and that would be the bottle that was an Aqua Vita bottle. And then it sets your water to 0, your water score to 0, to say that you no longer have, that you've used your water. And then it gives you a new empty glass bottle, one of them, 1 empty glass bottle with the display name Aqua Vita. So this resets your Aqua Vita bottle by clearing out 1 water bottle and then giving you an Aqua Vita bottle. And that gets you right back to where you were in the beginning to use your Aqua Vita again, and the circuit starts all over. So, yeah. So that's how it works. Like I said, you can make this effect instead of saturation. You can have this lead out into whatever kind of command blocks or other redstone circuitry you want. Maybe you want to have a cool thing where if the closest person to it drinks water from a water bottle, it opens a hidden door or something. I don't know, or maybe it gives you jump boost. Whatever you want. Or maybe if you drink water, it gives you some sort of amazing armor. I don't know. You can make it do whatever you want it to do. But yeah, so this gives water bottles an actual use. Because of course you can always drink water bottles, but they don't do anything. But now they do. So as I said, this redstone can certainly be compressed. It'd probably have been smarter for me to build these all vertically at the very least. But I just wanted to lay it out in a way that was easy for me to design the logic. You know, all the initial tests over here, leading out and being amplified into basically a 1 or a 0 instead of an analog 1 signal. So these are kind of like, these comparators into repeaters are kind of like analog to digital converters. So consider these sensors. So you have the clock in the back. These are sensors. These are analog to digital converters. Then you have extra conditions here for setting the scoreboard, and then just some inverters to test the to invert the conditions as needed. An AND gate here, an AND gate here, and then the final trail of effects after you drink it. So it just was a lot easier for me to you know, to visualize the logic in this way. But you can compress it, you can do whatever, you can use this exact design if you want. Don't worry about those pistons, those are, I don't even remember. Something else. But yeah, so I hope you can use this in a map sometime. Let me know if you liked it, let me know if there was something you want me to cover. Let me know if you want the redstone back. Let me know if you're going to use this. Again, no credit necessary, but I would like to see how it's being used, so let me know. Alright, I've said enough. Until next time, keep redstoning, keep designing, keep on keeping on.